Okay, thank you for everyone, all friends and family who have come here to remember my father. Thank you especially also to those who have helped out in the last few months. So when I was little, I asked my dad, where did the rain come from? And you know what he answered me? He told me that rain was bird pee. So I was at an age, when I believed everything that Dad said without question. In fact, I believed him so much, I went around and told all my friends, rain is bird pee, with such conviction that I got quite a number of them to believe me. You see, I had that conviction because it must be true, because Dad said so. So you see, my dad could be playful, even mischievous sometimes. He had a very sharp sense of humor. He knew not to take himself too seriously. But he took the responsibility of being a father very, very seriously, to Michelle and to myself. Even as a kid, I knew that. I knew that 100%. That's why I just believed him without question, even when he was joking around. So my parents were a bit afraid that I was going to be a little slow developmentally, not because I believed the bird pee thing, but a doctor told my mom and dad that because I did not have a crawling stage, I never crawled as a baby, but because I didn't have that crawling stage, I went straight to walking, that this would slow down my intellectual development somehow. And this really upset them. It really upset mom and dad. So they made sure to read to me very frequently, it felt like every day, every night. So Dad made sure to fill my life, fill our house with books. And some of my earliest, best memories with Dad are when I was about to go to sleep. We were about to go to sleep, and he would just read to Michelle and to me. So I never had any doubt that Dad wanted the best for Michelle and for me. He showed it in ways that were big. He showed it in ways that were small. So when I was a baby, there's one day I was hysterical, I was crying, I wanted my baba. And my mom called my dad at work, and he just dropped everything and rushed home to see me. But he didn't realize that my baba was the name I gave to my favorite pillow, which was in the laundry. But that's not the point. The point was that he just knew that I was the most important thing, and he would come back, just drop everything. And I know Michelle has many, many similar stories too. And what makes my dad's commitment to being a father most meaningful is the fact that, he came from a broken home, For most of their lives, my grandma had to raise him and Auntie Cheryl by herself. I'm sure there was a lot of hurt and a lot of brokenness that came from growing up like that, in that hard situation. But Dad made sure that Michelle and I had the father that he did not get to have himself. But so isn't that the most tangible way to make the world a better place? Everyone says we should make the world a better place. But isn't this the most tangible way? You turn the brokenness of the previous generation to a blessing in the next. And that's what my dad did. So I want to thank all who knew my dad in his professional life, all the Zulik farmer friends. So my dad showed the same kind of commitment in his work, and almost his whole career in this one company, Zulik Pharma, which is a pharmaceutical company. When at school, my teacher asked the class, "What did your parents do for a living?" And I said, "My dad sold drugs." But I learned a lot about my dad's professional life, about being responsible, about doing a job well, whether it's a big job or a small job, and most importantly, in treating people well. It doesn't matter if they're a boss, if they're a colleague, if they're a subordinate. It doesn't matter if they had nothing to offer you. You'd make sure to treat them well. And I've been especially thankful, we've been especially thankful for all the messages we have received from people who have known him in his working life. Not just the Zulik Pharma people, but we got a lot of messages from them. But also even just retail pharmacists or people who intersected with him in some way. And they told us how he conducted himself in his work and how he went about his job, he made their lives better. There's one last lesson that I'm getting from that, and this comes from these last few difficult months when he was at the hospital recovering from the chemotherapy. His health has been poor for a while. He had multiple myeloma, which is a cancer of the bone marrow, and that chemotherapy was really rough on his body. But as terrible, as bad as the last few months were, what struck me about that and his attitude at this time was his thankfulness. As the different parts of his body started failing bit by bit, he just couldn't stop talking about how grateful he was about everything. He was thankful about his life, what he got to experience, what he got to achieve, what he got to have. But more than that, most of all, he was thankful for the people he got to know, the people he got to love, the people he surrounded his life with. He was especially thankful for the time he got to spend with his loved ones, even as that time became shorter and more precious. So there's one extraordinary story I want to share about my dad in this time. So the kidney was one of the parts of his body that was failing, but at one stage, the kidney had a dramatic improvement, like really dramatic. It got better to such an extent that it surprised the doctors, like, how did the kidney get so much better? Because it wasn't supposed to happen. They didn't think it was possible. And my dad said multiple times that he believed that this was a miracle, that God was giving him a healing for his kidney. We listened to him say that, right? We listened to him say that. And I never said this to him, but all I could think of was that this was a stupid, useless miracle, right? What's the use of your kidney improving if almost everything else in your body is falling apart? But what I'm realizing now is that Dad had the wisdom, to see the 9 terrible things in the hospital lab report. Like, the blood count was low, the immune system was bad, blood pressure was bad, pulse was bad. He looked at the 9 things in his hospital blood report that were terrible. But he was able to find in the 10th thing something to be grateful for. He was able to find in the 10th thing something miraculous. He was able to see the love of God in that 10th thing. And I wonder how often we miss God speaking and acting, how often we even miss miracles. because we are not focused on what we should be grateful for. For me, and for a lot of us, we do the opposite, right? We can have 9 things in our life that are going great, and 1 thing that's going not so well, and we are miserable because we're so focused on that 1 thing that's not going well. That was never like that. And people ask me if I am okay sometimes. I am not. I'm not. I feel traumatized. It feels like something essential about yourself has been violently ripped away. That's what it feels like. But amid all that is terrible about a day like this, we can also still find things to be grateful for. We can still find moments of joy. We can remember how we have been blessed and loved a great deal. And maybe we can even discover that God has been working miracles. I think that is what we should be focusing on. I think that is what God wants for me, as I go on this life without Him. And I think that is what God wants. I think that is what Dad wants for me, and I think that's what Dad wants for all of us. That we focus on the thing to be grateful for, the thing that is wonderful, the thing that brings joy. Thank you so much.